In the English countryside of the late 18th century, where social rank quietly governed opportunity and marriage defined both security and reputation, the Bennet family lived beneath a constant, unspoken tension. Their home, Longbourn, was entailed away from the female line, meaning that when Mr. Bennet died, neither his wife nor his 5 daughters would inherit it. This legal certainty transformed marriage from a personal hope into an urgent necessity. Mrs. Bennet lived in near constant anxiety over her daughters' futures, convinced that advantageous matches were the only protection against uncertainty and decline. Mr. Bennet, intelligent and ironic, responded differently. He observed the world with dry humor and distance, preferring retreat into reflection over active intervention, even when his detachment allowed folly to grow unchecked. The Bennet daughters represented 5 distinct ways of navigating this social reality. Jane, the eldest, was gentle, sincere, and inclined to see goodness in others, sometimes to the point of self-denial. Elizabeth, close to Jane in affection and spirit, possessed a sharp mind, lively wit, and a strong sense of independence. She valued intelligence, honesty, and moral judgment above wealth or rank, and trusted her own perceptions deeply. Mary sought importance through books and moral seriousness, hoping discipline and knowledge might elevate her position. Kitty followed stronger personalities with little sense of self-direction. Lydia, the youngest, lived entirely for excitement, admiration, and attention, careless of consequence and blind to restraint. Into this carefully balanced world came Charles Bingley, a wealthy and unmarried gentleman who rented nearby Netherfield Park. His arrival stirred the entire neighborhood, bringing speculation, hope, and urgency in equal measure. At the first public assembly, Bingley appeared warm, sociable, and eager to please. He danced frequently and showed immediate interest in Jane Bennet, whose quiet beauty and genuine kindness suited his open nature. His close friend, Fitzwilliam Darcy, however, made a far less favorable impression. Richer and more reserved, he stood apart from the crowd, unwilling to engage in easy conversation. When Elizabeth overheard him describe her as merely tolerable, her pride was wounded, and her opinion of him settled quickly into dislike. To her he embodied arrogance and emotional coldness. As Jane and Bingley's attachment developed with quiet steadiness, Elizabeth found herself increasingly drawn into Darcy's presence. Jane's illness at Netherfield brought Elizabeth there, revealing her loyalty and emotional strength. Darcy observed Elizabeth closely, her intelligence, her devotion to her sister, her refusal to flatter those of higher rank. Against his expectations, he found himself deeply attracted to her. Yet he struggled against this admiration, troubled by her family's lack of restraint and by his own rigid sense of social order, responsibility, and inherited pride. His feelings grew not as sudden passion, but as an internal conflict between desire and judgment. Further complications soon emerged. Mr. Collins, a distant cousin and the future heir to Longbourn, arrived with the explicit intention of choosing a wife among the Bennet daughters. His manners were awkward, his thinking rigid, and his approach to marriage entirely practical. Believing himself generous and desirable, he proposed to Elizabeth with complete confidence. Elizabeth rejected him firmly, unwilling to exchange respect and happiness for security alone. Mr. Collins soon redirected his attentions toward Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's close friend. Charlotte accepted him out of prudence rather than romantic affection, believing stability preferable to romantic uncertainty. Her decision unsettled Elizabeth and revealed a central tension of their society, the quiet conflict between idealism and survival. At the same time, the arrival of the militia in nearby Meryton introduced George Wickham, a charming and personable officer. Wickham spoke easily and won trust quickly. He told Elizabeth a compelling story of having been wronged by Darcy, presenting himself as a victim of injustice and broken promises. His manner aligned perfectly with Elizabeth's existing prejudice, and she believed him readily. Darcy's visible discomfort whenever Wickham appeared seemed only to confirm her judgment, deepening her resentment. The Netherfield ball brought these tensions into the open. Mrs. Bennet's indiscreet behavior embarrassed her daughters, Mary's musical performance tested the patience of the guests, and Darcy, almost against his will, asked Elizabeth to dance. Though restrained, the moment revealed an unspoken complexity between them, marked by mutual awareness rather than affection. Shortly afterward, Bingley abruptly left for London, influenced by Darcy, who believed Jane's calm demeanor concealed indifference and feared that the Bennet family's behavior would endanger his friend's future happiness. Jane was left quietly heartbroken, bearing her disappointment with dignity and silence. Elizabeth later visited Charlotte and Mr. Collins at Hunsford, near the estate of Lady Catherine de Bourgh. There she encountered Darcy again. Lady Catherine's domineering presence and rigid sense of superiority revealed the extremes of social authority. During this stay, Darcy confessed his love and proposed to Elizabeth. Though sincere, his proposal emphasized the struggle he had endured because of Elizabeth's inferior connections and family circumstances. Elizabeth rejected him passionately, accusing him of pride, of interfering in Jane and Bingley's relationship, and of injustice toward Wickham. Darcy responded not with argument, but with a letter. In it he explained his role in separating Bingley and Jane, believing at the time Jane felt little attachment. He also revealed Wickham's true history, his irresponsibility, his manipulation, and his attempt to exploit Darcy's young sister for financial gain. Confronted with these truths, Elizabeth was forced into painful self-reflection. She recognized how deeply her own pride in her judgment and prejudice against Darcy had shaped her understanding of others.
As time passed, Elizabeth's perspective matured. While traveling with her aunt and uncle, the Gardiners, she visited Darcy's estate, Pemberley. There she saw his character reflected in the respect of his servants and the harmony of his household. When Darcy appeared unexpectedly, his behavior was notably changed, courteous, restrained, and genuinely attentive. Elizabeth's resentment softened into respect, and respect gradually into affection. This fragile shift was interrupted by crisis. Lydia Bennet ran away with Wickham, threatening the family with complete disgrace. Elizabeth later learned that Darcy had intervened, locating the couple, settling Wickham's debts, and arranging their marriage. He acted quietly, believing it his responsibility and seeking no recognition. Soon after, Bingley returned, his affection for Jane unchanged. Their engagement followed naturally, founded on mutual kindness and sincerity. Lady Catherine attempted to prevent Darcy's union with Elizabeth, demanding that Elizabeth promise never to accept him. Elizabeth refused firmly, asserting her right to choose and her independence of judgment. Encouraged by this refusal, Darcy proposed again, this time with humility, honesty, and no trace of former pride. Elizabeth accepted, acknowledging how entirely her feelings had changed. Their marriage marked not the triumph of sudden romance, but of growth, earned through self-knowledge. Pride learned humility, prejudice gave way to understanding. Jane and Bingley found happiness in gentle affection, while Elizabeth and Darcy built a partnership grounded in respect, reflection, and enduring love. If this expanded summary has carried you through the full emotional and moral landscape of Pride and Prejudice, remember that Jane Austen's novel is not about love that arrives effortlessly, but love that emerges through awareness, humility, and change. It is a story where inner transformation matters as much as outward events. And if this telling has brought you close, the novel itself will take you further, where every conversation refines what pride once obscured and prejudice could not yet see. If this story stayed with you, if its silences, its turns, its quiet truths lingered, then let it continue beyond these words. Walk with us into the next story. Leave a trace of your thoughts, a sentence, a feeling, and if you wish to return, simply stay with us, subscribe, listen, and let the stories keep finding you.